friends, it's Stacy here with Stacy Makes. Welcome back to this channel. If you are new here, we talk about crochet things, markets, patterns, designing, market prepping, all of those fun things here. Yarn, you know, the works. So if you like that kind of thing, stick around. If you are not new here, thank you for coming back to this channel. I appreciate you being here. This is the last video of 2024. I started my YouTube journey in, I believe it was January, mid to late January of 2024. So I've almost been on YouTube for a full year. But I have done a full year worth of markets, and today we are going to go over a final list of every market that I did and the final total sales of 2024 at my market. So last week we went over every pattern I designed and the best and worst sellers. If you missed that video, feel free to go check that out. And this week we're going to go over every market that I did in 2024 and how much I sold at each. I'm not going to break down again the booth fees and gas and all of that stuff again, but just going to kind of go over the basics of each one, possibly like which ones I'm going to revisit, which ones we're obviously not going to go back to, and kind of my plan for 2025. So if you see me looking at this piece of paper, it's because everything I need to know is written down here. And so I'm going to rely on that a little bit here and there for my information. And so let's just get right into it. So last year started, if you don't know, sorry, let me back up just a little bit, just in case you are new. I do these markets with my daughter, Tara. She is also on YouTube as Old Soul Factory Crochet. So what you're going to see, what you see in my videos, if you go back and watch them, is you'll see me and my daughter's inventory. You'll see me and my daughter setting up, interacting, and those kinds of things at my markets. But what I'm going to go over today is just what I sold of my inventory. She does her own inventory. She keeps track of her own sales, and she posts those on her own channel. So if you want to check her out at Old Soul Factory, you can. So we in fact sold more than just my inventory at my booth all year. It would be interesting to have a total between both of us. But just know that the totals that you're going to hear today is just what I sold at each market, and not also what she sold. So we both work full-time, so we do not do this as a full-time gig. It is just something that we do for fun to get rid of our inventory that we have crocheted. And so it's just for fun for us, some bonding time. We love to make plushies, and we make so many. We love to talk about it. We love to come on our YouTube channels and things like that as well. So it's a way to get rid of our inventory, make a little bit of our yarn money back, see somebody enjoy the things that we make, which is my favorite part. When people come up and they're just like, I have to have this thing, you know, and it's this and that. And I just love to see somebody happy with something that they have gotten at the market that I have made with my own hands. I just love it. So, okay, we're going to start obviously at the beginning of the year. We'll walk through every market. I'm not going to go into great detail about each one, just a little bit of information. So my first market of 2024 was inside at a high school. It was about an hour away from us. It is a women's club that puts on this fundraiser that they do at this high school. So it's not actually sponsored by the high school. It's actually put on by a women's club at this high school. And we had a tiny little hallway spot. I think it was 8 by 10. It was the first market we went to in ever with our great big wooden shelves. If you see those in our market splices, I may or may not insert a little footage of some of our market setups here and there while I'm talking, just so that you can kind of revisit some of these things. They may or may not coordinate with the actual market I'm talking about, but I may or may not insert some of that just so that you guys have a little bit of a reference as to what I'm talking about. But February 2024, women's club fundraiser at a big high school about an hour away. I wasn't expecting a whole lot. We kind of signed up last minute. It's not a juried show so much as it's all handmade though. Like they do make sure that everything is handmade. Except for they do allow like one of each type. I think of maybe like a Tupperware or something like that in there. I don't think they do a ton of limiting. I don't know. I'd have to ask about that. There was probably at least 6 or 7 other crocheters, but again, there's hundreds of booths here all throughout the hallways of this high school. We did not have the most prime spot ever. If you are selling crochet and there are 6 or 7 booths, people got back to us in this hallway and had already purchased things a lot of times. But either way, at this booth inside, it was a one-day thing on a Saturday. I made $812 in sales. So again, this is just purely what I sold. This does not count any of my fees or anything for each market. So 812, which I was actually very impressed that I was able to do that much at this market, with it being in the spring, and with it being with us being so many other crochet vendors there. So we are actually going back to this market. I signed up that day to come back. I did ask for a bigger spot than an 8x10. I think we're supposed to get a 10x10 or a 10x12. I can't remember. And so we are going back to this market. It's the first one we'll have in 2025. Okay, our next market of 2024 was in our small town. The Eclipse came through in 2024. If you don't remember, that large event in our hometown was right in the dead center of darkness. So we had a big festival. The actual eclipse was on Monday, but we had a Saturday, Sunday kind of weekend events, music, things like that. We set up only on Saturday. It was outside, and it was just super local. Was not expecting a lot. It was just a neat little close to home. I helped put the event on through the Chamber of Commerce, so I was going to have to kind of go anyway and kind of help and be around and set up and things like that. So I did $435 at this event. This was our first outdoor event that we did. I did not have all of my weights yet. I had some of them. I bought more after this event because it was a little bit windy. This was the first one we had done outside. The wind, knocked a few things off of shelves. Just little things. It wasn't horrible. The wind wasn't unbearable at this market, but it was our first outdoor market. Okay, our third market of 2024 was a disaster. If you went and watched this video, it was outside, about 45 minutes from our house, called the Vine Street Market. We showed up and it had been rainy. It was very gusty and windy. Only about half the vendors showed up. It was probably, it was rainy off and on. We had to put sidewalls up. People's tents were blowing around. This was the first time we had to use our sidewalls and really rely on our weights. We actually had staked our tent into the ground. We were on the grass. We had staked it down. We had all of our weights and we had sidewalls up, but the wind was like 30 to 40 mile an hour wind gust. It was horrible. It ripped our sidewalls that we had that came with the tent. Were Velcro on the corners. No, they were tied, I believe, and it ripped ties off where we couldn't reattach them. It was just, we were holding onto our tent because it was shaking, and it was just a disaster. There was not a lot of people there because the weather was horrible too. We left about 2 hours in, I believe it was, and I sold $102 worth at this market. I left stressed, thinking, why would I ever want to do another outdoor market in my entire life? It kind of scarred me, that's for sure. Okay, the next market we did was in May, was a local, about 15-20 minutes from us. There's a farmer's market, like Pavilion set up, that does like every Saturday starting, this was their opening weekend in May. And then every Saturday through June, July, August, and then they have like a last hurrah thing in September, a bigger one in the fall to kind of like as their closing day. We did their opening one and their closing one, but we did not do all their Saturdays through the summer. But it's just a locally attended kind of an event. Again, it was their opening day, and it was underneath the pavilion, so it was outside, but it was, we didn't have to bring a tent. We were underneath their pavilion and everything, and so we didn't have to really worry about the rain and stuff like that, except for to get all of our stuff underneath the pavilion and set up if it was raining. I don't think it was this day. I think it was nice. Anyway, I sold $176 at this market. So that was the fourth market of 2024. The fifth market of 2024 was a market we have never done before. I don't know if we'll do it again, but was the Strawberry Festival in Owensboro, Kentucky. So this is about almost a 2-hour drive from us. And it's a 2-day event. This was the first time we had done a 2-day event. This was the first time we had done an outdoor 2-day event. This was a put your tent up, put all your stuff in it, and then take your stuff down and lower your tent at night, leave it there overnight, which was like after the horrific like sidewalls ripping wind disaster of April. This market stressed me out so much, but it ended up being fine. It's not a juried anything. It's just an outdoor family fun kind of festival where this little cottage puts on this event where there's live music, there's things for the kids to do, and then there's vendors just set up in these rows outside. So we did have to stay all night at this one. We traveled in. We traveled in the night before, I think, and set up what we could. No, we traveled in that morning, I think. So we just stayed one night. 2-day festival outside. The weather was actually pretty nice. I think it sprinkled on us one time, just really lightly, and it wasn't bad. I did $1,638 at this market, and that was just sales. Again, that doesn't take into consideration booth fees and taxes and all of that stuff. So $1,638 at that one. Okay, our next market, so that was in June. There's not a lot going on in the spring and the summer. Most of what we do is in the fall. Most of the big stuff is in the fall when you're doing fall and holiday. People are Christmas shopping. It's so really anything we can add in the spring and the summer is just kind of a bonus. So we started off kind of the fall in August in a 2-day show inside of a mall. So this mall is, obviously like a lot of malls in America, it used to be a really nice mall, but has since had a lot of the stuff in it close, and they rent the inside hallway space and some of the outside fenced off an outside area for food trucks and other outside vendors. And we were set up inside of this mall. So the good thing about that though was that there was overnight security, and it was a Friday night, Saturday. So it was a little different. So we left on Friday, like around noon. So we only had to take off a half a day. We went and set up, and then Friday night wasn't very busy at all. And then we just got to leave everything set up though. We didn't have to take down like the other 2-day market. We didn't have to take everything down and put it back up the next day. We just got to walk away, which was kind of cool. We just took some pictures before we left, so if something disappeared, we'd have a picture of it, kind of compared it when we got back the next day. And at this show I did $797, which by the time I paid for a hotel, which a lovely viewer worked in that city at a hotel and gave us their discount, which was amazing. But by the time we stayed and I took a half a day off work and such, $797 was probably just not enough. I made more than that in a 1-day show that was an hour away where I didn't have to stay all night. So I don't think we'll be going back to that specific show. But $797. So that kind of kicked off our fall holiday season in August. The next one we did was in September. was our local town again, was our fall festival. So this again was outside. It was supposed to be a fall festival, but it was hot. I mean, it was burning up hot. We put our sidewalls up just to have some shade. We were by an electrical outlet and we ran a box fan. That's the only thing that really saved us. And it was so hot outside. And again, I helped put this event on for our Chamber of Commerce, so I was heavily involved in it. And so we went and thought, we'll do what we do, you know, what we can do at this event. And so we went and we were there, I think it was 9 to 3 or 4. We actually left a little early. I think we left at 3 because there was a storm coming and they came around and told us that we could leave, which we were okay with. But I did $380 at this market, which isn't bad for something that literally is 10 minutes from my house. It was outside, but I had to set up a tent, but it was not in grass, so we had to have our weights and things, and we were set up kind of on an uneven surface, and we just kind of it wasn't windy, it was just so hot that day. But really $380 is not bad for 4 or 5 hours, super, super local to our house. So the next event we had 2 events in 1 week. We had a girls' night out on a Thursday night, and then that Saturday we did the closing of the one that I told you about. We did the opening in May, and we do their closing fall show. The closing one was in October, and so we did that on Saturday. So we did girls' night out Thursday night, and then Saturday we went to the other super local one that's just not very far away. So girls' night out is just, again, it's in our town, super local. It's on a Thursday night, and it's kind of a event where we encourage moms and aunts and sisters and take their girls out, and everyone just goes around our town, our little town. It's just little, to do some retail shopping. People have special events. There's kind of a theme. You can dress up, and it was just it's just a cute little event that's always pretty heavily attended by our community, which is really nice. We set up in our own venue, so me and Tara own a little event venue uptown where we used to have an art studio, and we rented out spaces in there, so it was free for us. This didn't cost us anything, plus there was 3 or 4 other people setting up in there with us that also got the traffic. So we were set up on Main Street, and the people that were just walking up and down Main Street to shop the shops will come into the venue and shop the little booths and go on their way. So girls' night out, it's 3 hours. It's 5 to 8 o'clock. It's a 3-hour thing where I just have to leave work a little early because I had to open the venue and let everybody in to set up all their stuff and to get ready by 5, because it starts at 5. It's 5 to 8. And I did $411 in 3 hours, which is a great night for a 3-hour show that I didn't have to pay any booth fee for. That's right in my hometown. So super pleased with that. We are trying to sell our venue, so I don't know that we will do girls' night out obviously at our venue again, because hopefully it is sold by then. But we do have options of setting up inside other businesses and things for girls' night out, and so we'll look into that to see what we can do. So we did that Thursday night, and then Saturday was back at the farmers market place, 15-20 minutes away from us, underneath their pavilion. So it was outside, but we did not have to bring a tent, which is awesome. It was warm, nice day. It was just, I think, 9 to 2. So it was only a 5-hour thing, and I did $407. So these little local couple $200, $300, $400 things that are 15-20 minutes from my house, or right in my town, are just so easy. The booth fees are not very expensive. They're usually, I'm the only crocheter there, besides obviously Tara setting up with me. So it's just, because it's not a massive event with 7 crocheters and thousands of people coming through, it's a lot of local people who know you. A lot of times, because they're small rural community, so like a lot of people come through and they know you, and then they're like, hey, how are you doing, blah blah, oh my gosh, your stuff's so cute. And then it's just like they trust that your stuff is well made. They know who you are, and they're just like, oh, I need a baby gift or whatever. And so then they just start looking and they shop your booth, which is just, it's nice to get out and see people in your community and make a little bit of money. And it doesn't cost us much to set up at these little local events. So anyway, I blessed Blooms Farmers Market in October. I did 407, if I didn't say that. Okay, end of October, that was the beginning of October. A couple weeks later, we did another local venue that was like a harvest market, is what they called it. And it was in a, it's like a wedding venue, or people have their proms there, they have reunions there, and it's the same town as the Pavilion, except for it's kind of out in the country. 15, 20, about 20 to 25 minutes away actually, because it is a little farther out of town. It is outside, so we did have to have our tent for this event and all of our weights. This was our last outside event of 2024, where we had to have our tent. We did, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We did 5 outdoor events where we had to have a tent. But anyway, so this was just a one-day Saturday morning type of thing. If I remember right, it was 9 to 2 or 9 to 3. There was live music outside. It started off super slow, and I was worried. They were supposed to have this market the year before, and we were signed up and we got into it, and we were super excited about it. And then for whatever reason, something happened in their family, I think, and they just I don't know what it was that was going on, but they ended up having to cancel the whole thing. And then they said that they weren't sure that they were going to do any markets like that in the future. And then they came back around this year and decided to do this one. And they actually did a pop-up one for Christmas that we didn't do because we were already at another market. So I was unsure how it would go because they didn't have the one the year before. But it was a neat little venue that had 4 or 5 little food trucks, probably about 30 people set up in tents outside in late October. I did $631 this day. It was a pretty good day for being local and close to home. Okay, then in November, if you watch my videos, you know it's the largest market I've ever done. Was a 2-day market in November, which is a Friday night and a Saturday in Springfield, Illinois. We did have to stay all night. I did have to take off a full day on Friday. Friday was an amazing night. It was busy. There was like early bird shoppers that come through on Friday, but then someone's like, oh, don't worry, tomorrow will be busier. And we're like, we were not worried. We were just thinking, wow, if we could match tomorrow with tonight, like that would be great. But someone's like, oh, don't worry, tomorrow's even busier. And we're like, oh my gosh, we had a great Friday night. Like it was just a really good market. Definitely would go back there again if if they have it. Despite the booth fee and the drive and things, like I would rather do okay, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, 2-day show, all indoors at this amazing little venue inside of like the Illinois State Fairgrounds, where they just had these neat lights, and all these booths were just handmade and amazing, and there was so many people that came through there. It was awesome. And then I had a few people contact me from the other 2-day event that I did in Owensboro and this one that bought things later, that I sent them later. So that was kind of a first time that had really happened, where I had got someone that literally messaged me on Instagram after the fact and had asked about something. So anyway, the Hobnob Market in November, the 2-day show inside at the Illinois State Fairgrounds, I did $2,088 that day, or that weekend. Again, best show that we've ever had. Okay, and then the last market, sorry, it is the season. The last market of December was back at the high school that we started at, but instead of it being the women's club, this one is the band booster. So they have a huge marching band that they do this fundraiser for. The band parents all come together. This is, I don't even know, like the 15th maybe year that they've had this, maybe even more than that. Back before I did crochet, I used to sew baby bibs and burp cloths, and I did this Castle is the high school. I did this show 6-7 years in a row, and it was just always a huge success for me. And it's very juried. They only let so many people in, which I felt like this year they let more in than they usually do of the crochet variety anyway, because I think that there was at least 5 or 6 of us, which to me is a little much. I would say 3 to 4, you know, you need to get them all. But I paid my booth fee for the next year, so I'm already in next year. But anyway, Castle High School is always the first weekend in December. People have to pay to get into the event to shop, which Hobnob is the same way. Willow Creek was like that too. And so was the Effingham Inside the Mall show. So I feel like when something is put on and it's got lots of food trucks and it's got lots of vendors and you have to kind of pay to get in to shop it, that people are there to seriously shop and to, you know, to browse around and spend some money usually. And to get out with a friend or whatever as well, but you know, it's just kind of something that local that they can kind of do and get away from home. But anyway, the Band Boosters puts this on, helps you in and out of the show, which makes it so fast. But also, the band kids are amazing customers. This is our 2nd year at the show. We didn't do quite as well as we did the year before as far as sales go, but it was still a success in my opinion as far as sales go. I went ahead and paid for the next year and I sold $1,077. So that was all of our shows. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. We did 12 shows in 2024. Okay, so total sales of all the shows that we did in 2024 was $8,954 for me, which probably paid for all the yarn I bought, maybe a little more. But I think that's pretty good. I mean, that doesn't count my fees. I would say between the 12 shows that we probably had about $1,000 in fees, you know, and then a couple $100 in the hotels that we had to pay for. So I would say that $89.50. I probably profited $7,400 maybe out of that total. So I mean, it was a pretty good year. So I think our strategy though for 2025 is going to be small and local. You know, it's just a Saturday morning, or you know, it's just small, it's local. We're going to do several small locals. Do the big ones like the castle shows, which both of those I'm already signed up for, which is the first and the last one we did in 2024. I want to do Hobnob again, which was our biggest one. I want to do Girls Night Out again. And then other than that, we'll just kind of see. I would like to get 1 or 2 more big shows on our schedule, kind of like Hobnob. I think the idea is that not to do 12 shows, but to do 5 big ones, you know, like maybe if I can do 5 big ones that are a couple $1,000s a piece, even if that means going to travel and staying somewhere, that kind of keeps you from having to do and travel, you know, so many weekends. You know, 12 shows is 12 times I was away from home, was, you know, not all of them were overnight, but was 12 weekends or nights where, you know, I wasn't at home. So, but anyway, I think that was a pretty successful 2024, $8,954 total in sales at the markets. Markets is not my only stream of income with my crochet business, and obviously my crochet business is just a side thing for me. I do work full time. I also design patterns, which if you saw last week's video, I talked about all the patterns I designed in 2024. And so I make money through people buying my patterns on Etsy. And then I put some of my things in a local antique mall booth. So I sell some things through there. I did not keep very good track of what I sold through there in 2024. That was specifically plushies, because we have a bunch of other things, random things in that booth as well. So I would say though that I probably sold $400 to $500 total throughout the whole year, and plushies at that booth. So so markets, pattern sales, and then the antique mall is the three, and YouTube. Really, I don't make a ton of money off of YouTube, but that's my streams of income from my crochet business that I have that's, you know, is on the side. So I might have made $11,000 this year, plus YouTube, which I'll have to pay taxes out of that, so I'm not really sure how much of that was profit, but that's kind of where I made my money in 2024. So if you know me, you know that normally I've been bringing you what I made, and I usually make several things every week, but I have been a little burnt out. The holidays and everything wrapped and all of the stuff going on, having so many days off and so many things going on with the kids and stuff, that I have reorganized my room. If you noticed, I switched it back around. I did this about mid-year. I switched everything on the walls, and I switched it back. It feels so much more open now. It's just something about this layout is what works best for me, having this yarn on the wall that's by this window. And then I destashed a bunch of yarn on my story on Instagram that I don't use anymore. I got rid of all of my Parfait Chunky, a lot of my Premier Basics chenille that was like the value bag stuff that doesn't have the wrappers on it, all my velvet, a lot of Parfait Chunky, and then I had a lot of Premier Basics, like the chunky yarn that I used for the bobble trees, which I'm not going to make in 2025. So I had a ton of that, like 20 skeins. So I got rid of a lot of yarn, and then I reorganized one of the shelves that were in here. I took it downstairs and reorganized stuff in this room to just be the yarn that I use on the daily, and then reorganized my safety eye, supplies, and that kind of thing. So hopefully that kind of gets me more motivated to do some work in here and to do some crocheting. I did make one thing this week while I've been on Christmas break, and I showed that to you guys in an Instagram reel, and it was a cinnamon roll turtle from Happy Turtle Crochet, and it was so cute. And I'm working on a koala out of Teresa Crochet's shop, Amigurumi Plushies book. I got that for Christmas. It's just been taking me a while, so just things going on this holiday. So hopefully I'll get back into the groove here, get back into doing this thing that I love, and get back into a schedule with the kids and school and work and everything over the next few weeks. Things will normalize a little bit as we go into the new year. So that's why I haven't had a whole lot to show you guys, but I was planning on doing these like 2024 wrap-up videos anyway. So hopefully you enjoyed having all of the, you know, you watch all of my markets throughout the year, but it's kind of nice to be like, okay, so at the end of the year, did you really make any money off of markets? And so hopefully that answered your guys' nosy questions. I'm nosy like that. I like to know you hear what other people are doing, but you don't really know if they're making a go at it enough to really make it worth anyone else's while. So, but anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video and my market recaps from 2024. I really appreciate you guys being here and watching this video. I've had an amazing 2024 here on YouTube with you guys, and hopefully that continues through 2025. Hopefully you had a wonderful holiday if you celebrate Christmas or whatever holidays that you do celebrate, and coming up on New Year's as well. So hopefully you've had a blessed time, through that holiday season, and just had a chance to recoup and relax and reset and think about 2024. So appreciate you guys being here. I don't have anything else today. Hopefully you enjoyed this recap and review of every single market I had in 2024 and how much money I made. And I think that's all I have for you guys today. I appreciate you. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to comment below, guys. I love to talk to you guys in the comments, although there's not a lot to comment on today outside of maybe if you want to talk about my crazy curly hair today. You can do that. It's all over the place. But leave a comment, anything that you want to down below. I hope you guys had a great holiday, and I hope you have a great week coming up. So happy crocheting, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.